Hello, everybody, and welcome here to HSEL Valorant Wednesday nights. I'm Cairo, joined by the wonderful HSEL, and we're going to be bringing your games to you tonight. Two best of ones, and that's going to be exciting stuff. Well, I should ask first, my co-caster, how are you doing, mate?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you thinking of me here on the other side of the desk, however far away it is, from me to you, one end of the UK to the other, and then from us to the people that are going to be playing in the US, of course. And we've already had a little bit of a taste of what the quality's like, what the games are like, and there was a bit of a contrast, I think it's fair to say, from the first best of one that we saw last week into the second game. A really one-sided affair, then into an overtime matchup. So, or an almost overtime. It went right down to the wire, that game. Really looking forward to seeing what kind of level we have here from CVU and Salamanca, but there's only really one way to find out, and that's when we start getting into these matches, and we know how the best of ones can be.
Yeah, exactly. CVU Ehawks versus Salamanca Warriors is who we're going to be casting, Hazza. And we're actually casting on Fracture for our first best of one, which is going to be a bit of an interesting one to start off on.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think in terms of how Fracture plays, or at least the agents that we expect as we're going straight into agent select, has changed a little bit over recent weeks and months. Chamber isn't around as much as he used to be. Killjoy's now felt a couple of recent changes. Her turret has 100 HP instead of 150. We've also seen Raze's boombot duration go down to 5 seconds from 10. And those changes have been implemented within a patch that was actually rolled out today. So if I'm not mistaken, that should be on the live version that we're about to get into.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely interesting to see how these changes are going to implement in the general meta. I mean, me and you had to sit down talking about how we think that it's going to maybe go towards more of an opping meta, which is something that we're certainly seeing by our defenders here, with the fact that Dragonstar's already looking towards more of a jet as well.
Yeah, we have a double duelist setup here coming through on the attacking side, and the rest of it, I've got to give a little bit of a question as to what this Sova is going to be like on the involvement here.
Yeah.
You have two agents which can deny any kind of a killjoy if we see it get picked up here by Pika as there's a double duelist on the defending side as well. Some big damage from ultimates when you consider the showstopper as well. This is quite a resolute but default comp, I suppose. And yeah, of course, there won't be a Sentinel coming through on either team, actually, because Pika has to fill in for smoke. So a very interesting lineup on both ends, but I think this is perhaps somewhat what we expected to see in the best of one format. And then also, looking at the games yesterday, this isn't a well-defined sort of outlined meta pick that we get from a lot of these teams, and they are just sort of pathfinding their way through the game. So that is what we will be treated to.
Fantastic analysis of that, Hazard. Do you know what, mate? This is why I love having you on the cast with me. It's like a little bit of razzle dazzle. You've got the big brains, you know what? A little bit of razzle dazzle. Do you like that one?
Yeah, very good, very good. Classic. A little bit of that, sort of the jazz hands, the shimmy wimmy.
Yeah, that's what I actually did, the jazz hands, not realising nobody can see my camera.
These are the sorts of... This is the reason... Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what you'd be like on the desk. We'll have to see.
Yeah, we certainly will. But I tell you what, we will see exactly how these teams are going to line up. With the fact that it's going to be a majority stack towards A, that's where the Phoenix is actually going to be, but not actually playing aggressive with flashes, playing more back and resolute towards the site. The players of the Salamanca Warriors actually playing as a 5-stack, working together, deathballing their way through on this pistol run, and prioritising getting them.
Oh, look at Brisk on the other side here, though. Plays the trigger discipline for a moment, lines up 1-2 and nearly a third, but the damage has already been done. The Sage player gone, none of that damage going to be able to get healed up off of the Salamanca players. So there's a real big advantage here for CVU. They've got a big health pool to work with as well. The flank is coming through, but this could work in the favor of Salamanca if they're aware of it, because it is just one fight, but they look to press onwards, and that may not be the right idea.
Yeah, it might not be. The Jet now coming to help out with this Viper here. Esports just trying to get aggressive, can't quite find it. At least gets one, but that is a clear wipeout by the CVU Ehawks.
Yeah, there we have it. A nice pistol round from them. Perhaps leaning more into a defender bias as well. I think we often see this towards the I don't want to say lower levels of play, but when you're not trailblazing the meta, like I said before,
Yeah.
there are certain quirks that come into factor a little bit more, and playing your attacking side to a really strong capacity is something which takes practice. It takes set plays and, you know, things of the like, and Salamanca in that round just hit the brakes a little bit, didn't look to have too much idea as to what they wanted to do in the mid to late round, and as a result found themselves stuck, and the defenders are able to pick up that first round.
Yeah, there's a bit of a force coming through here as well by Salamanca, really gambling on being able to take it to these defenders. That's a nice trade coming through. There's a Spectre in the Jet's hands, but a Stinger in the brims. That's a nice trade, and it's just going to trade all the way down to 3 versus 3. The Jet on the Salamanca Warriors is low, so it could easily be wiped out, but not before Pika gets wiped out themselves.
Yet again, we're seeing a flank come through. This time it is Astral Frog with the Ares in hand, bearing on down to spray these players. Brisk has the front end of the site, was the one to open things up last time around, and may just try and close out the same here, but it's not going to happen for them. Now a 3 versus 1 with the position still unaware, but a safe plant being taken up. 2 players with now a crossfire into the site itself. Needs to isolate these engagements and has a chance to do so. Gets the first, but not prepared for the second. There we have it. An immediate follow-up from Salamanca.
Fantastic by Salamanca indeed, Hazza. The gamble working out with forcing into that one, and they're putting CVU E-Hawks on the back foot. Could be massive in terms of being able to create that extension in terms of a gap between the two. But we'll need to see if that can actually be the case. There's still going to be a force from CVU as well, so it's going to be force against, well, and I guess now that the buy's on the other hands.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag, really. The attacking team here have got a few upgrades, but still not the full set of rifles coming through just yet. The Brim charging down into main with the Ares in hand. Newfound confidence stored in the weapon named after a god itself, and there we have it. The first kill picked up, looking for even a second, and able to claim off the back of a very nice recon dart from the Sova backing them up.
Yeah, now 5 versus 3, and while the 3 are now on the opposite side of the map, they're now on B. Has a 5 stack moving through, and they're just going to be able to get that wall out. The barrier rod broken and not busted into sight just yet, but when they do, Brisk is there to trade up, and that's going to be an upgrade potentially. Pika tries the same tricks as last time, but the Sage is well aware. Gets rid of 1, gets rid of 2, but there is still 1 left on site.
It is Brisk, and they have seemed to have built a bit of a track record of doing decent damage on this A defense, but even on the first round, it was a couple of players found, not 4, twice as many stand in their way this time, and it isn't in the familiar part of the map that they've been doing so much work on. Yet another similar flank and a similar post plant here from Salamanca as well, with their positions in the site. Another crossfire looking to build itself, tower control established, and Brisk is going to mix things up, go for something different, and head over the zip line towards the bridge side of the map.
Try to maybe catch a few off guard. The Jet already putting out just a smoke to deny anybody coming out from under. Although the swing is wide, it still hits 1. Brings it down to 3. There's going to be a swing out elsewhere by the Sage and cleans it up. There's 3 of their own. Fantastic kills from them. And Salamanca Warriors really putting the hut towards the CVU E-Hawks.
You know what, Cairo? Something really interesting is, this is the first time I've actually seen the arcade in the background. I was always wondering why people called it arcade. I had genuinely no idea, but there is actually an arcade there. That makes a lot of sense.
Wait, where? Wait.
I mean, are you not looking at the same feed that I am?
I'm looking. Oh wait, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's in there. You see that reflective like LED wall to the left? I thought that's what it was. There's a Tactibear on the wall as well, but
I thought it was like an Arcadia. That's like, you know what I mean? Like
okay.
I thought that's.
Do you know what an Arcadia is?
No.
Yeah, me neither. So I don't think it really matters. But coming into this round, CVU a lot lighter on their feet, a lot lighter in terms of weaponry. Salamanca keeping through plenty of what they had from the previous round, with only the 1 casualty of that Jet towards the end. 2 were dropped in total. Seeing some real preferences towards the Ares here, and Brisk finding the first kill will charge on through in towards main. Get picked up. Is there a trade? Just about. NC Gamer squeezes it through and now has to run it back to bring some of that health back on, but a little timid in the approach, walking... Oh, wait, no, this is teammates.
Just a bit confusing there, although the people who are not teammates come through, wipe out the Phoenix, although they've not accounted for Dragonstar, an opportunity just missed. Astral Frog now, what can they do? Not much, only gets one. Nice and well played by the Sage to manage to keep their team in front.
Yeah, they had that pincer maneuver coming through. That is what threw me off a little bit, right? Because you already had the information that nobody was playing from the spawn position. So then popping the ultimate, you're clearing, you know, like 1 or 2 angles at best. And I think even our observer is a little bit confused about what happened as well in the messages that they're relaying to us. So yeah, I don't know. Perhaps a little heavy-handed in terms of using that ultimate. Perhaps something which could have been saved for a retake later down the line. But CVU... decent damage, I suppose. Salamanca will continue to extend that lead, however, so not really returning the investment that they would have hoped.
Conga lining all the way up to the A site. Will Astral Frog be able to somehow contest? Not at that range, surely. The Phoenix, the Phantom Doom work there from long range. The Sage just waiting to see if that ultimate did much. Barrier Orb invested. Now they're straight on towards the site. The Spike, though, very late in getting in towards the site, and they need to get that down pretty soon.
That they do. 5 versus 5. The retake on Fracture. Usually fairly difficult, especially when all of that utility is available and not much of it committed to this execute. Here comes Brisk on the flank and is able to find that first kill. And there are players outlaying wait. Perhaps the chain of command not relaying the information that the flank is hot on their heels just yet. And Brisk will continue to poke away before finally being dealt with by their counterpart. Some more players coming in to assist here as Pika has finally broke through the gauze of Main. But the judge will greet them. Big damage coming through, looking for a follow-up, and he will get it. Big work from Brim to bring Salamanca their 4th.
Fantastic and well played by Salamanca, but I think as a Salamanca were well set up from the early stages, being able to get in towards the site. Has a 5-stack from Dish without much contention from their opponents. Not only that, investing the barrier orb and then just setting up from there. I mean, you look towards the swing that came from Maim. It was almost like swinging into the lion's den, the way they were all perched up and looking out, ready for whoever's coming their way.
It's a slower start this time from Salamanca, and they've actually looked to pinch B the same way that they did A. I really like this approach from them. Stim Beacon goes down to increase the fire rate, but the players remain perched on the deeper angle. Pika has util to slow them down, but unfortunately doesn't have the coverage that they would have hoped for from NC on the opposite side of things. Main left wide open, and in flow the Salamanca forces to get this spike planted. Still actually not taking full control of the site just yet, and may just pause for a moment as the utility comes through, narrowly avoiding the maximum usage of that Fade ultimate.
Yeah, there's the Prowler chasing through, but they've not accounted for the Sova. Just swings back out and collects Brisk. Those bullets flying left, right and centre, but the 3 players out on Main, they're the ones with the advantage. They've identified the Jet, a little bit of panic, and the hunt comes through as well. The constant pinging will tell them exactly where these players are, but it's a decision to be made. When do they go? When do they stay? And that decision needs to be made soon.
And Astral Frog is just picking them off at distance. Every single time a Salamanca player steps up to the plate, they get battered out of the park. Dragonstar holding the close Astral from distance has eased away into the corner and now gives a chance for Sova to isolate these jewels. Gets the first. A clean headshot and an opportunity to plant the spike. Only 26 points of health for Astral Frog. They'll be looking for a 4th, and they will get it. A big quad to deny Salamanca going any further than the 4 they already have.
Fantastic and well played, just keeping that gap ever so slightly ahead. Only down to 2 now, Hazza. If it got to 5, you're maybe looking at potentially having to revise how you're playing, but at this moment in time, with all the ultimates that are in pocket, CVU Ehawks could realistically look at this and go, do you know something? We have a real chance of closing this gap if they space the ultimates right.
Yeah, perhaps I was leaning into that, not recency bias, but making the assumption that we would see more of a lockout from the defender's side with how slowly Salamanca decided to approach that first round. But I'm not too sure who they've got working in the background, because their approach in the last couple has varied a little bit. So has the success to follow it up. But I've liked the way that they've chosen to split the map a little bit more, and even brought in an Odin here to deal with some of those Sage Walls that we've seen. A nice little change to make life a little bit easier for them.
There's already someone walking down below. I believe it is the Viper, and well, they're completely punished for going themselves. That's really unfortunate there. The main stack of these defenders, I was about to say, are in towards CT. No, NC Gamer just peeks out a little bit too much, pinged out the brim as they get ready to swing with that Odin. There's a trade, and we're back to a 4 versus 3, make it 4 versus 2.
The res is going to come through as well. Brim is back up on his feet with the Odin in hand. Right now, seeming like the laser cutter, which is just slicing open this site. There is a flying shot coming in from Dragon, but it is immediately traded. They know all about Brisk, and that will be a team ace. Every single part of Salamanca pulling their part. The Warriors singing a valiant tune as they're able to get their 5th round on the board.
That's the thing, Hazard. Getting the 5th on the board, they really are keeping that momentum up. I mean, the Sage on the side of Salamanca, really doing well there. I mean, the fact that they're able to be on 13 frags, I mean, that res surely will come back online soon. Yeah. Speaking on the other side, you've got a Viper's Pit to invest, potentially. That's a win condition for the CVU E-Hawks. Maybe even if they shut down one site, but I don't think that's the case, as here we go with this pinch once again.
Yeah, from what we've seen so far, I somewhat struggle to see a world where CVU were going to be proactive about their usage of this ultimate, as we've already seen Sage go flying into the depth of the site. No one there to try and support them. Battle Sage down to the very last letter, and here he comes, the bodyguard. But Astral Frog is holding down the site themselves. A trade from the Ares, the little brother of the Odin, and it's enough to keep them at bay for a moment, but here we have a 3-piece coming from the Sova of Salamanca's very own, trading things back to a 2 versus 2. On for 4, on for the ace. Will pop the Hunter's Fury to see if they can pluck away at this final player, or at the very least dissuade them from control of the spike. But vision has been denied. The screens come through, and they'll need to find a way past it.
Well, I need to find a way to engage. What an ace that is by the Sova of Salamanca. Warriors has just swings out with all the confidence in the world and completely shuts down the opposition player. Fantastic work from them, and they've put their team 4 ahead.
Yeah, it's a nice advantage here if you're Salamanca, and coming into that round, I was just about to say how we've got Brim on the Odin, the bodyguard, right? Sending them through, crouching along and mowing anyone in their way like an armed bank robber, finding a way to slice open that vault. And the star of the show, for the most part, had been Sage, but Sova chiming in with 5 kills, very impactful ones, as that dart won't be landing in this best of one, perhaps in the next map. But here we have the Sage getting back into action again, and here we have that laser cutter slicing open the door, but the only one to greet them will be the Bastion on the site, Astral Frog.
Oh, here we go. The ping's coming out from the Nightfall. The Sage just trying to dart away. The Prowler's chasing down. And well, here comes some chasing of their own, as now all the defenders try to rush in, but maybe they rushed in a little too early. The last 2 remaining players on the site will maybe hear these players run away, and maybe that's exactly what they want. Maybe they're trying to bait out a rotate and then rotate back as they go over these zip wires.
Maybe Ink Peeka's heard this, perhaps, and like you said, baits into the rotate. Then you have an opportunity to hit the site late. At the very least, it's moved them to look for a little bit extra control towards main, and they will be walking into Sova, who can't quite connect the shots this time. The 2 top performers on each respective side go head-to-head, and in that clash of horns, it's Salamanca that loses out for the first time in a while. Sage going incredibly deep with the control that she's able to take in main, and then posting up on a really nice angle the opposite end of this barrier orb. does leave Jet to deal with things in the site by themselves, and it won't be giving out full control here.
Oh no. Does the Fade know the Prowler's not found them out? But surely you anticipate something with
the tether.
Yeah, that's massive.
Yeah, Astrofrog's seen the tether, knows all about it. It's a matter of time. Who's going to peak first? It will be Sage. The kill which lights up the Phantom and sends them to the top of the scoreboard and sends CVU all the way to their third so far in this defender's half.
Yeah, really big round from CV. It really is a matter of chasing their opponents at this minute in time. I mean, trying to get that gap as little as possible and seeing what damage you can do on the attack at this moment in time. When we look towards that comp that they've got in terms of Sage and a traditional Sentinel role, not the strongest, but maybe as an attacker, when you see Battle Sage, I mean, maybe it could work out, especially with the fact you have the Phoenix and the Jet, and maybe that Fade, the Initiator, doing some work there. That's something that I'm trying to see if that's what the CVU E-Hawks are trying to cook up when it comes to that comp. But Salamanca Warriors, well, they're making their double duelist work for this half.
Would like to see CVU bring that run it back online a little more often. Get aggressive in a certain area of the map. You have plenty of options. You're spoiled for choice here on Fracture to give them a little bit extra bite. But here we go. Speaking of bite, Salamanca trying to make their way into the site using the Orbital Strike combined with a slow orb to restrict the movement. And here we have it. The initial damage dealt by the ult, the finishing blow coming through from Brim himself and just taking them on one by one. Head and shoulders here from which the rest of the Salamanca players can look to sit on as they're finding kills of their own and restricting what CVU can do here, taking some control towards tower as well and getting an upgrade for their time.
Now, in post, it's 2 versus 3. There is the res available. And there's plenty of those blue X's close by. Pika, though, does get on towards the rate. Oh, the Sage of Salamanca hasn't even reacted to a slow up thrown behind. There is that res being used. It's 3 versus 1. What can the Sova do? They need to get on site, and they need to get on quick. They all swing out at the same time as a spray down gets 2.
Ooh.
One left. Dragonstar, the player that was resed, clutches up and manages to get the CVU E-Hawks to win out that round.
Comes from beyond the grave and is able to make Salamanca rue their own mistakes there as a gap was left open, one which was punished, and now an opportunity for them to get a third round on the board with the investment that they have, already finding 2 in a row. Astrofrog yet again being a key part of how these rounds progress, but even Dragonstar and Brisk are finding ways to make themselves valuable here. And it's fantastic to see because you look at how that round pans out. There wasn't a safe opportunity to res, but by finding that kill, it's so important to twist the turn, twist the direction the round was heading in. And now things are very close coming towards the second half.
Well, they need to stay close, has it. Honestly, at this moment in time, although below, Brim coming up from the depths, getting one. Blade Storm used as well by the Jet, so they're going to be able to be pinpoint accurate while running as well. Briscoe does shut down that Brim. Did he anticipate the second to come up? The Jet close by. Holding, although just holding, just misses out the angle and now has to dip off Brisk.
Yes.
Yeah, we're in a 4 versus 4 and the spike is starting to slowly make its way towards an unguarded A site. CVU have fully rotated here, and I think this is something which Salamanca could probably have done with trying to manipulate a little bit sooner, how quickly the rotates would come through from CVU, and it is just Sage to try and fully sell this fake. Goes for the first shot, dips out for the heal, but doesn't quite have the space and or time to do so. Jet will attempt to follow things up, but now with CVU finding those kills in main, it looked to be hot on the heels of Salamanca. Will be enough time to get the spike planted and bring them to post, but there is a numbers advantage coming into the retake as there was on the previous.
Well, now it has it. The numbers advantage sometimes is what you need just to trade things out, but the showstopper is available. We know exactly how that Rage rocket launcher can
Look
be
how grouped
used.
up they are as well.
Yeah. could easily be used, could easily win out the round. The Sova close by. I mean, maybe just playing for trades. Although the swing out, oh, the Raze just leaves himself a little tad too open. Do they have the nade? They do. They could use it. Although the showstopper comes out, the rocket launcher shot, but just misses by inches, flying past, giving all those players a new haircut. But I'll tell you what, it'll give the CVU E-Hawks a new number of rounds.
Yeah. Uncharted waters for them. 3 in a row, nearly matching the streak of Salamanca rounds that we saw previous. But a trend to pick up on will be the fact that 4 of the most recent rounds CVU have been able to find, 4 of the gun rounds, when we exclude the pistol that started things off before Salamanca put themselves away from their opponents, is that they've all been defusals. Perhaps more than just a celebration of how well CVU have been able to play this retake, Salamanca have fallen short in the key moments, and there again, it's that slight miss on the showstopper, which could have easily won the round. The goalposts needing to be adjusted just a little more for it to land, and now it's the final chance in the half for Salamanca to give themselves a notable advantage moving on to their defender's side.
Now, as these players slowly all know, there's an op hazard. The most expensive piece of weaponry in the arsenal of these players. Astrofrog just needs to hit one shot and the player will be gone. Oh, Briss just sees a shoulder, peeks out, and Astrofrog peeks out themselves, collects one, maybe even more to collect, but the players are running back and Peek is there. Pika Charmer, what can you find? Not much.
Really unfortunate situation. Seems as if Astrofrog is playing on a different astral plane right now. Honestly, out of this world when you look at how they're faring up against everyone else on the scoreboard, so you might as well put an operator in their hands. Sage moving up aggressive yet again, and once more leaving a slight gap in the wall to test whether CVU want to try and challenge them through the peak, an angle which they'll have a lot more favorable, and it's the Sage on the opposite end which will get us off to a good start here, eventually taken down by the Sova Hunter's Fury. 3 versus 3, but an opportunity to bring one of those players back on their feet. With how open the pick was found, however, it's difficult to try and do, and if you look at your other teammate, they're still on A as the battle starts to go down. Trades coming back and forth, 3 for Sova, and then finishing it up 7-5.
7-5 indeed, Hazard. That's going to put them, of the Salamanca Warriors, at that advantage, obviously, on scoreline. But at the same time, I mean, we were kind of talking about bias. Sometimes when it comes to halves, when we switch over and other teams get a shot at the other side or that they haven't played yet, whether that be the defenders or the attackers, sometimes we can see them start to replicate what their opponents were doing in terms of scoreline, etc. And maybe CVU E-Hawks, this is their chance to actually start doing well.
It certainly could be. We know that sometimes Valorant can be different from half to half. It's a game of 2 halves. That's the best way to put it. And momentum can very often shift when you go into that more favorable side. And with the differences that we have in composition here, both teams trying to bring their own element and of how they want to try and play this to the table, there is always an opportunity that things do go a little better for one of them as the sides do shift around. And it seems as if Salamanca may just be looking to get off to a better start than they did on the previous half, with some kills being found, but Astrofrog immediately present, and suddenly the tides turn heavily in the favor of CVU.
Yeah, extremely. Now 2 left, and one of those players are in towards CT. Does a nice little dink, so bringing the players down low, but that spike being down, we go to post. The Jet coming in on a flank from Dish is huge. At least gets their opposite number, but Pika Charmer can't peek out. It'll have to be for trades all the way down low. Astrofrog just been hidden behind that wall as well. There is a Prowler's delay, and as time ticks away, we'll need to see exactly what happens. The shot, you know, exactly good at the long range, but can it be good at short? Yes, it can. There goes your Sova. 1 left. It's all up to the Jet, but time's ticking low on their life for this round as Astrofrog finishes it out.
CVU get back-to-back pistol rounds. The question is, can they keep this momentum flowing? Something which they struggled to do previously. Salamanca into their retake, perhaps not looking as good. Or even, it's that same issue again. Once the heavy pressure scenario reveals itself. Once you go into the closing 40 seconds or so of the round, they don't seem to have the bottle necessary to get things done. But I think more than anything, it's down to the way that the early to mid round is progressing here. You've seen it happen exactly there as well. It was a 4 versus 2 coming into the retake. They didn't have the numbers to work with. And how many times was that the case when we saw CVU trying to retake once Salamanca had the control of the site?
Now, control of dish in firmly the defender's hands. I believe, just from the way that things are, it's only the defenders. Oh, it's only one defender. I was about to say, I thought the broom was close by at least to play off of the contact, but that's a lovely horn. Just going to be very aggressive. Brisk gets the wall down. There's a player above. It's just going to be spam. Although, finally, a player from behind Pika Charmer finds that kill. It's 2 versus 5, and we're not just past the minute mark.
This is the same retake setup which we saw Salamanca go for last time as well. This time, however, Sova will be able to pick up a kill. The same way that Jet was from Dish as she slowly begins to make her approach. They should be aware of it this time. CVU have restricted themselves a little bit deeper in towards the site, making it more difficult for Salamanca to penetrate that first line of defense. But kills are getting found, and that wall is now beginning to decay, so there is a chance, but it is a very thin, fleeting one. The float in will do absolutely no favors for Jet's accuracy there as she tries to swoop on in. 7-7. CVU have turned this game around.
And on the attack, doing the work that they need to do, and now the purchases are coming through in terms of the defence, but not everybody wants to opt in, has it, for those rifles that we tend to see on this round. No, we're seeing Marshals, Inspectors, the likes of that. The Rays actually forcing in towards a Phantom with no shields, going for that glass cannon approach.
Yeah, we'll have to see if the cannon will be firing off success or not. Starting off the round, yeah, the shot's trying to connect, but there is a wall in pocket, one which will get placed, a heal taken, only good for 30 points of health, but definitely the utility being invested to just slow things down a little longer and allow this Salamanca rotate to come through. Sand control has not been considered, however. Finally, a recon coming through, but look how open Brim is here to taking damage from the players charging on through, and will do exactly that. Pika finds the kill. There is a trade, and the Dish rotate coming through yet again. It's Sova and Jet, which the hopes are relied upon, but the position of the spike is so much more favorable this time around.
My ult's ready. Yes.
Just being able to get that last kill there. Now, 2 versus 1. What can the Fade do? A lot, apparently. Brings it down to a 1 versus 1. Has ultimate. Has full util, has it. Has all the time in the world. Does find out exactly where the Sova's hiding. But they're crouching down. They're going real low. Low, so low. They're going 6 feet under. Astral Frog, look at how many kills they've got.
It's ridiculous. 7 more even than who I would consider to be the top performer for Salamanca when you see how Sova has been playing. And this is a worrying sign if you're Salamanca. This is a best of 1 for those watching at home. You've got to remember that in a game like this, you don't always have too much time to dust yourself off and really refocus into what it is you want to do. And with that round, typically the bonus we would consider it to be not going the way of Salamanca. CVU have built up so much already on this attacking half. It's a question of what change comes through to try and improve things off the repetitions of A hits that we've seen in the early conditioning which CVU have set. Salamanca now go for this change to stack the site. Sage moving away from things to collect a little bit of extra information, and will probably be greeted by 3 or 4 players that are slowly making their way up from sewer. Not gonna be the best state of affairs, and there we have it, forced to back away.
Backs away, backs off. What more can they find? Not much at this moment in time. The barrier are invested, making things just a little harder to swing out from, but not too hard that they have to break that wall. Another barrier orb invested, this time from the attackers of the CVU, and that just stops anybody from getting out from Generator in that position. Although it looks like it's going to be a real crunch as all the players inside are somewhat, I was about to say, are somewhat disconnected. Brisk though thinks there should be one more here and does does invest the slow orb. Meanwhile, elsewhere, there is reinforcements coming through from down under, but the recoil's just a bit too much. The players are able to crunch down, and they crunch down hard, but maybe actually there's a chance here.
It might just be 3 versus 2. Spike is ticking away, however, and so much time has already been expended in towards the retake. I don't think there's going to be enough. This is another CVU round yet again. A nice change brought in by Salamanca, going off of the information that they already had and CVU's success on A. They wanted to make sure that it was a stronghold, an impenetrable site for them to defend from by stacking 5 players there. But then when it comes to the retake, they made things a little more difficult for themselves. Absolutely no control or information towards B, something lacking for both of these teams without having a Sentinel to collect any of it. You struggle very, very much so to get anything done. And yeah, into the retake as well. I like that CVU were happy to just take control of the site, not worry too much about the player flanking in from bridge, and they put themselves in a good situation. Oh, wow.
It's fantastic shots indeed. Really aggressive. Oh, he just misses out. Actually pushes the Sage off the angle, but not actually too far away from the position. Gets one. It does get traded out.
That they do. The walls will be traded as well, as all these Salamanca players have bustled up in towards main. We're seeing Pika now bring the spike in through towards Dish, and as long as NC can hold their ground, slow down the players on their advance, there's a great opportunity for a big backstab here, but Pika just falls away from the angle as the opportunity beckons them. Brisk the one to take that initiative instead, and this is the green light for CVU to go ahead and hit A yet again. Salamanca prioritized it this time around, but continue to fall short. Sat inside the snake bite, a lot of damage taken. Not much time left on the clock, to be fair, but CVU do have the breadth of the control.
The width and the breadth everywhere that they need to go. Well, the defenders need to go. The attackers have control of. And this is the problem, though. It's all about keeping that control, and that control's just gone within an instance. Brisk, though, on the flank, does have a res and a heal, but needs to be quick here because the players are just going to hold. They're just going to hold 4. They're just going to defuse early the untime. No, they're not. The defenders went out. Pros don't fake.
Yeah, with how much control we saw CVU have in the site, it's somewhat bewildering that they didn't decide to plant in a more open spot, one which could be contested from main. And yeah, with the setup not being there for them, it invites an opportunity for Salamanca to find their first this side of the half. We spoke about teams having those preferential starts, getting off on the better foot, and it's another 4-1 lead the same way that we saw last time, but just flipped the opposite way around. And this is a great opportunity for Salamanca to get back into things, especially when you look at the weaponry that CVU have. A couple shorties on these players, even with thousands of credits left in the bank.
Thousands of credits in the bank, which could have been invested, but look at this, Hazard. They've completely gambled those credits by stacking them towards B. And when you look towards what CVU E-Hawks can do in terms of they get this plant down, they can really set up a strong post plant. A lot of ultimates, even a Viper's Pit.
Look at the position already in spawn for Dragonstar. And while that shorty may not have been the strongest weapon coming into the round, from holding close, it's going to do a lot of damage. And there's your first. Bladestorm brought online, an opportunity to introduce it, but Sova will be able to trade things out. Back to a 4 versus 4. The kill too deep for CVU to rest this, but I mean, like you mentioned, one of the problems by setting up on the opposite side of the map is that coming into the retake, there's so much more that you need to clear. And yes, while they have an initiator in the form of the Sova, you've got to make your way back through this Viper's Pit, which has set itself up.
This is the problem. The Viper's Pit is so strong, bringing you low, decaying away at the health and decaying away at your chance of the round. The CVU E-Hawks already out and about, and oh my god, maybe not.
Yeah, big damage being taken there. In terms of weapons that will need to be rebuyed, yeah, they still have economy to sit back on, and it's certainly going to be better than what Salamanca have to introduce, but not the most preferential of conclusions to that previous round. Most importantly, however, it is going to be another on the board.
Yeah, well played from them, Hazard. And the fact that that's been 5 rounds that they've been able to get from this half. Salamanca not really being able to contest. I mean, we were speaking about of the fact that we could see these duelists have a real impact on this side of the half. I didn't expect it to have this much of an impact. Just seeing the shoulder of one of the players, but the sheriff quite hitting.
Yeah, a little bit nervy. Neither of the sages wanting to go for the fight just yet, and they back away. The contact taken, information gained, and that is about all. For the first time, CVU look to be walking into the trap of this Salamanca 5-player setup. Maybe even mixing things around a little bit and going to the other side of the zip line. Here we see the investment of the run it back from NC, trying to put themselves on the front line and cause some problems, but the shots are just a little bit stray. This is all a distraction, however, because Pika set themselves up in dish and found another 2 huge pivotal kills to give them a chance to move in towards the site.
Oh no, this is getting even worse. 2 left and they're out on main. Easily a crunch could come through, or maybe even the Sova could crunch themselves. The right click used up, and that's going to be all those knives going, leaving the Jet stranded. Although stranded by themselves is the Raze now. After the the Sova gets picked up. The Freight, being able to do work at this long range. What is happening, Hazard?
To be honest, mate, I have absolutely no idea, but we're rolling with it, right? We've even just seen Brisk drop their entire loadout when the game hasn't finished just yet. Not sure what they've been playing. It might not have been Valorant, because I can tell you this for a fact. The game finishes when you hit 13 rounds, as long as the other team doesn't have 12 of their own. And that means they're going to have to reinvest. The credits are there, so you look, if you want to go for extra style points, why not? Toss those dollar bills into the ether, because CVU have found themselves yet another.
To push out with the Spectre. Doesn't quite hit as much. And now
There is a read that time around, though. Astrofog, seeing the wall goes up, immediately notices the patterns in Sage's play for Salamanca and pre-aims towards the top of it. So a nice little read coming in. And that's the thing with the best of one. As it begins to drag on, you see that these teams start to feel out their opponents and get a better understanding of how it is they want to play.
I understand what you're saying, but maybe we'll focus on the gunfights for the time being. There's only one left, and it is the Jet. Dragon Star waiting for the swing as the players slowly creep down, crawl down almost on top of the barrier orb. But as it dissipates, they will finally drop down, and Salamanca will find that. But the point I was going to make, Hazza, was that of, yes, that you can start to adjust to what your opponent's doing, but is it too little too late for Salamanca Warriors to be adjusting to what their opponent's doing?
Yeah, we'll have to see. I didn't mean to tread on your toes with my analysis. As you said, there was a real brawl going on. But I think we can even then translate the point that I was making to the fight that we just saw. Salamanca then went for the 5 players stacking on B from the previous 5 players stacking on A. They're trying to read the rhythm and the flow of how it is that CVU are approaching this, because they've not hit the same site twice in a row since they did in the early game, to be fair. And we're seeing that happen once again as they look to move in towards A from both ends, but already a fast flank coming in from Salamanca on bridge side has kept them hot on the heels.
Yeah, they're really looking to engage on the site. And this is where the spike is, but the judge is just not good enough. The Spectre just a little bit longer in the range. But there is a second player actually flanking, and it is the Jet, although Pika is well aware of what's going on here. There's the gunfights happening. They've got the barrier orb invested. Spike not able to go down just yet. But that's the thing. Pika needs to... Oh no, the Spike's just dropped to the right side of that orb. That's what I was worried about. There is the showstopper and used. It's shot through the gap in the wall. But Dragon Star comes from a gap of their own, a gap through, but what was double doors? This shots couldn't quite connect.
Oh, now there's a shock dart to greet them. Seems as if as soon as Salamanca know where you are, there'll be 10 tons of util poured down on your poor little head. And there we have it. A Hunter's Fury even invested towards the corner, just narrowly unable to connect with Astral Frog. The star player so far in the game up against the star in their own right, and the Sova on the opposite side. Raze the first to take contact, drops them down low, and it will be a 3-piece to finish. Salamanca will find their 10th. This one going all the way to the bitter end, and look at that. 3 kills for Sova, and now only 3 away from matching the tally of Astral Frog, a player who's perhaps cooled off a little bit on this attacking side.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that there's so many ultimate orbs on the map as well, and one thing that the Phoenix is good for is the fact that their ultimate is so low. You get a chance to run it in, and there's not been a kind of a look at, hey, we're on Fracture, let's get these orbs and let's go and try and take it to the opponents. It's been a bit unfortunate, but look at this, we're having another gamble stack on the map.
That we are. Yes, you could say it paid off for Salamanca before. The reason why it paid off, though, is because they were very happy to go for a little bit more aggression once they saw that initial push failed to come in, and they'll do exactly the same here yet again. Brim and Jet both moving towards bridge, a little bit of presence towards B main, but it does eventually falter off as we're going to see them move through spawn. And no, across the zip line, Brim looks to move this time, joins up with Raze, so the stack of players in a little more heavy from main, but Salamanca playing into these retakes on every single round, and Brim just about manages to squeeze that first kill.
Yeah, well, here we go. The boom bottle as well going to come into here as it just slowly clears out that main position all the way to site. Does get one, the Jet, and there goes Astral Frog, a big heavy hitter for the CVU. Maybe put Salamanca in a better position. A big info dart coming through. Brisk getting one of their own. There is the trade there though, and we're down to a 4 versus 2.
Do have the res available for Salamanca as well, but they might not need it. Pika playing from the corner, sends in the snakebite, trying to delay as much time as possible, spraying through the gap, dishing out damage. And I think it's going to be just enough. The snakebite delayed things for just a moment's notice. It's incredibly close. 0.43 seconds is the margin in which Salamanca can bring it over the line, while the rest of their teammates may not have had full faith. Jet stuck it until the dying embers and brings it over the line. 11-11.
Has it all even. 3 rounds in a row for Salamanca Warriors. They seem to have found the winning solution for them. The problem is, Hazza is talking about winning solutions. There's 3 winning solutions in the pocket of the CVU E-Hawks. They've got the Blade Storm, the Viper's Pit, and the Res available if they get to that stage, and they're continuing to stack on this B site where the hit is about to come into.
This is the thing. Salamanca have done the same again. It's the B pause and then the slow pressure off the back of it. This time, they have felt first contact from the CVU players, the E-Hawks on the opposite end, and Brim is there to greet them. Brings online the orbital strike and just sends it flying straight out the pocket. Won't be able to claim a kill from it, and that to them will be the confirmation that they need in their mind to rotate off the site, leave a couple players here and see what the situation is on A, which will be Pika strutting through on their lonesome. With that one now found, a full rotate coming through. CVU still not to execute through B. Information that there's at least 2 players towards main with the res coming out. And they've completely bypassed one another here, giving CVU a great chance to now put this into an after plant.
Yeah, now the fact that this is in the after plan, the post plan, with a person down, no hazard. That's the thing that we need to point out. This could be traded all the way down to 1 player left on Salamanca, but that's a big if. Still util in the pockets of these players. The first one being the paint shells. The Brim not putting their smokes down at all, but we are going to see that wall go up by the Phoenix. Remember, it can't heal them. Again, no engagement's taken just yet. The bullets create an outline, but Dragonstar gets that first frag, which could be pivotal when this post plan. Astral Frog getting one of their own now is really turning into a worrying situation as it's down to 3 versus 2. Elsewhere, the Rays gets one of their own. Is there going to be enough time on the clock to get a defuse? I don't think there is. The attackers went out and they move on to mapping match point.
Chance of a defuse so far gone that Brisk had already made their way towards A main, parading a victory lap. But it could be a premature one. We already saw them toss a couple weapons away in the thought that they'd close things out at 11 rounds. Finally, they hit 12. took a little bit longer than they would have been hoping, as Salamanca have been brilliant throughout this series to claw things back to their favor after having a pretty decent start to that first half. It's been so back and forth, a tale of two halves, like I said that it might be in anticipation. And here we have it. The first duel being taken towards Dish. The wall coming through. Another gap left, but not quite enough space for an engagement to be taken.
Yeah, well, the engagement has been taken by Astral Frog, but at least they've been traded out. Brisk just waiting. At this moment in time, they're going to be able to pick up this ultimate orb for completely free, and they're the only one who doesn't have an ultimate to use at this moment in time. Esports, the Rays being able to use the... Oh my god, elsewhere there's been engagements taken elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's been a 3k for the Sage. That's massive.
Sage is esports. They all are. They're all esports right now, Salamanca. And, I mean, look, give them the title at this point because they're knocking on the door. 3 versus 1. Pikachu may want to just hold on to those snake bites. You've got a Viper's Pit to work with, and it's the last chance that you may have to even do so. Not going to happen. 4k for the Sage player, bringing us to a scoreline of 12 to 12. And an overtime scenario on Fracture yet again. It's the same way that we closed out the previous couple fixtures, the previous weeks of fixtures, and it's the same way that we're going to be starting off this round of 2 games.
Oh, OT, what is it they always say, has a pressure makes diamonds, and well, I mean, this is going to be a bit rough for these two teams, so let's see if we can find any of those diamonds in the rough here.
There certainly are glimmers of bits and pieces from different players on different sides. A couple of them already reaching 30 kills before the bell of regulation has finally been struck. And here we have it. Another pinch coming through. Salamanca taking a leaf out of CVU's book on their attacking half, trying to make their way through. Here comes the Odin yet again, but it's not a familiar tune which rattles off. It's a song of failure. And the first pick not going their way. Damage already dealt. I don't want to see a heal come through here. Problem is, they're split towards the other side of the map. And Pika is quickly approaching on the flank.
Ooh. Yeah, Hazard just missed that out there. The Rays been able to find the jet, and they're off on a little flank of their own. I say flank, rotate more like, because that's where the spike's heading. The players are going to quickly check the site to make sure there is no spike going down, but it is going to be the B site. That's where most of these players are coming through, and we've seen how these post plants go. It tends to be the team who have got the spike down that win it out.
Seeing tower control being taken on their lonesome. Will be greeted to that duel with Pika. The second duelist to have done so, the first falling. An additional opportunity, Brisk. Sneaking on through, nearly lining up 2, but failing at the initial hurdle. 3 versus 3. Esports also loses out to Pika. Time ticking on down, and they just don't have enough! But Astral Frog sweeps them off their feet. Leaps across 2, finds 3, and CVU have their advantage.
That's massive, especially when you consider CVU on their attack and how much they were able to win. I mean, both teams were pretty good on their attack, let's be honest, Hazza. But CVU now, with the momentum that they have in pocket, I mean, this is going to be massive for eventually could be coming up.
It could be. Looking at the timeline, it paints a story in and of itself. Patches both of these teams have displayed in trying to find success, changing things up, anticipating moves which perhaps never came. And the mental warfare which has ensued across this best of one has certainly been a spectacle, among other things, I think it's fair to say. But for the first time, we're seeing almost a 5-player push come in exclusively from Dish side. CVU creeping on up, and slowly Salamanca looking to rotate. Will they be there in time?
Oh no, Hazard the Odin there as well. The flick up just not there. Time, the crosshair placement not good enough. I tell you what is good enough. All these frags that continue. But can they fight back? The CVU E-Hawks are stuck out in this position on Dish. NC Gamer's been able to heal themselves up. But the Viper on B is already set up here. The paint shells bounced out, going deep. The spike is down on the other side.
Yeah. If NC Gamer plays this timing right, could be in to find a bunch of kills, and there is the first. What does Salamanca do from this situation? Do you hunt down the threat, or go for that lingering Viper player, which will be holding down CVU's efforts at closing the round? That's the main factor. Sova pulled away from things. Many kills already found for that player. Pika is not in a place to be running sewers at this point in time. It's going to be a full stick. Only 1 point of health. You just need to lay down a snakebite, and that is the round denied, but it will not happen for them. Salamanca find a 13th of their own. We go again.
Oh no, another round of overtime. Another round of both teams having to attack and defend one apiece. And we need to win by 2 just in case nobody has watched Valorant before. Give them a little update on how things tend to work. Now that's going to be an interesting one in terms of with these two teams going up head to head. I wonder, we've seen both teams win on the defence. Is this going to be the case where the defence is just going to be stronger now in overtime?
I mean, we'll have to see. Both of these teams had a more preferential defender's side. I guess the thing that confuses me the most about the post-plant we just saw is they had no idea what the positioning was in the first place. So readjusting to main there doesn't do too much for you. But I guess, look, let's not get caught up on the past. There's so much more Valorant left to play. NC Gamer tucked to the corner, getting sprayed on down. It's only the Brim which has looked to clear him. And thank goodness he's able to find that kill, because I'm not sure Jet was fully aware of the situation. 4 versus 4, some trades already picked up. Risk! Can't quite connect it. Pika certainly will, though. And that's enough to now put them in a very strong position. Trades through yet again, but it's that defending team which looks to be running away with things. Salamanca has the molly to work with. Will drop it to the site and also rain off some bullets, but it's not going to buy enough time. Brisk has jumped straight into it. Astral Frog a little bit more composed, and will just ride this one out.
Yeah, they have rode this one out, and Will has on top of that. When we look at this, look, and another advantage towards the CVU E-Hawks. Does Salamanca have it in their back pocket to fight back for another round, considering, I mean, let's think about it. Last time, they did have an overwhelming majority towards the end, but it easily could have went either way. You have to see, I feel as if when it comes to that post plan, CVU E-Hawks are much better when they work as a team.
There they are, right? It's a team-based game, a tactical FPS. It's more a utility-based game than guns, I think it's fair to say. When you really look at how the game plays, you need to be combining your util and playing off of one another to have the highest chance of success. And CVU now sit on the verge of closing this one out the same way that they did before, the same way that Salamanca did. Both of them having opportunities to see this one out, but not quite grasping them just yet. Similar setup to before. Brim hiding inside the site with the Odin. The trades come through. Astral's able to find it. Could be hopping into some site control here, but the spike is so isolated towards Dish, and that has to be the most worrying thing for me right now. Even if they take control of the site, you have no Dish control to actually send it in off the back of.
Oh, this is where the massive, all the players distracted by what's front, but look at the Jet. They're well aware of what's happening here, Hazza. Well aware of what Pika could be. Well
will be the
aware.
round.
Oh no, they can't. They just look away at the wrong moment. That's massive. At least they keep the person advantage though, Hazza. Taking out MC Gamer. A snake bite goes through in towards the site, but look at the time.
Yeah, you'd think we were in a post plant for Salamanca right now, because they're all sat inside the site, but CVU are staying firm. They still want to hit towards this side of the map with the amount of time that they have left. Options are very much restricted. Down goes the toxic screen, but there is no follow-up. We're in the red zone. A move has to be made. It's do or die if they want to see it out now, but they just can't find it. Instead, Sova gets the kills, and it's rinse and repeat. Defender's side all you like. No one else is able to get it done.
No one is able to get over that finish line. I mean, you have have two players very close to a 40 bomb. I mean, the work that they're putting in is absolutely massive. They're even going for 2 or 3 Odins on either team. It's unprecedented what we're seeing here.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Odin's been working out, right? Buy into it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it is broken, fix it. And the Odin seems to be patching the many holes in the porous hearts of those left after Valentine's Day, perhaps. This is the answer, I don't know. But certainly a match made in heaven if you're Brim. Seemed to have worked out for him the last couple of times.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Well, there has been a reveal down towards Dish. The terror trail's giving away people's position. Dragon just trying to creep up from behind. Just unfortunately gets taken out. But look at the spot that's been taken here. As the players take up the position in Dish, but there's a player flanking from behind. Is the Viper? Are they aware?
Strafe jumping with an Odin wouldn't be my first port of call, but Pika still able to find a kill off the back of the snakebite, which narrowly missed. Salamanca finally coming alive, however. Now they have a significant advantage to work with, and this could be their shot. Pick up your attacking round, and your chance of winning your defenders is pretty high going off the track record, and just like that, Salamanca find it. The first to draw blood on their attacking half here into overtime, and we're moments away, Cairo, from a chance at wrapping this up with 30 rounds played and 40 kills found for both of the top-leaning players on each of these sides.
It's the fact that we have seen so many kills dropped by players by themselves, and the fact that it's been 30 rounds, that's a lot of Valorant played, Hazza. I mean, you can't help but all these kids, I mean, they wouldn't have long finished school. They must be absolutely shattered with the amount of Valorant that they've played.
Tell me about it. I would still be sat in my polo top, right? You know, fresh out of school. I don't know if... I feel like you were probably more of a blazer guy at school. You definitely wore a blazer at school. No, you're a polo shirt?
Bro, I wore a shirt. I wore a shirt with a tie.
Like a proper shirt, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, we've got to like. I think we've got to like talk about the fact that in the UK we actually have normal uniforms for high school.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, wearing anything you want, there's nothing wrong with that. But...
No, there's nothing. I'm just saying, like,
I mean, look,
these kids would be like, you went to school with a shirt? What is
come
this
on, man. The definition of drip is some sort of baggy trousers and a loose fit Sonic shirt, man. Come on, that is like
Sonic shirt.
Peak. You know, I feel like I see that so often in NA, people with like the super loose fitted clothes, and that is very loosey-goosey. When you look at Brisk's aim, a real good chance to pick up 2 kills and potentially see this one into a 30-second round, because yeah, they had the chance, but now Salamanca not even capitalizing off the back of their own initiative. Such a long rotate, so much time bought. CVU just running down the clock. And I think we may just be going again, Cairo. We can carry on that conversation about school uniform as much as you like, because this one isn't going to be wrapping up anytime soon.
I just realised that I did wear a blazer. But we were kind of forced to wear a blazer in our senior years, so I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, that's what I meant, man. That's what I meant. We had like... They would always call it non-school uniform. Like, you could bring in like a pound coin for charity or something on like one day of the school year or whatever, and you could wear whatever clothes it was you wanted, and everyone in like form time would just be spinning their pound coins on the table, you know, just like making a nuisance of themselves. And I mean, right now, both of these teams have plenty of coins to be spinning. It's interesting to see what kind of buy we've got coming through. Not as many Odins as we did before. There's a sort of microcosm of a meta building itself in front of our very eyes, and well, one of the leaders of that seems to be the attacking team having some success.
Yeah, I mean, as we are in the new patch, and some are saying that it could be potentially meta-defining. Maybe we're seeing it build right in front of our eyes as the spike goes down here. Players out on tower, although they just look at the wrong time, running at the players. The Viral doesn't get things done, and neither does the Odin. Pika doing well to get those 2 frags. 4 versus 3. 2 out on main, which is a really good position, especially where that spike is planted. The Rays hiding on default, all the players peeking through, but they're crouched peeking, and that's not to be advised. 6 HP, a heal comes through by the Sage, but they need to get on his spike soon. That time is getting low, these defenders. Pika close by, Astro Frog, the one doing the work. Pika on towards the spike, doesn't do the work. The Sage now out from main. Can Astro Frog find it? No, they can't. The Sage wins it out, and Salamanca are able to win this round, giving themselves another advantage.
Another attacking round being picked up by them. Look at the kills as well. We got even the second fragging player at this point in time for Salamanca, up to 33 of their own. It's ridiculous stuff. This one saying, look, I don't want to end, right? Let's just carry on going. I don't ever foresee this one coming to a conclusion, but this round might just be it. The way in which things panned out. I mean, a nice use of the slow up there in post as well. Even if they lose out in the duel, you're not going to be able to get that spike defuse. CVU this time moving towards the BXX, and Astral finds the first and the second kill.
Fantastic work by Astro, keeping their team alive here. The barrier orb just being prepped so they can get on towards site quickly and
The
easily.
man was
brisk.
too stunned to speak. I think, I don't know, has Cairo ran out of juice? Who knows?
Apparently I've somehow accidentally muted myself on I genuinely never meant to do it either. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
But what I was just saying was the fact that they were prepping the barrier to get on towards site, and Brisk going very aggressive in towards deep. We might have another round of overtime on our hands.
Mate, honestly, at this point, I would not blame you for taking a breather in between rounds, because the way that this has gone, I feel as if I may be tapping into my golf commentary sooner rather than later, because it refuses to stop. Captivating until the very end. We might not even get the chance to show you the second best of one, because this one is almost filling up 2 matches worth in and of itself. But it is a giga banger, because here we go. Finally, the melting pot beginning to brew over in the site, and that was the chance. The beckoning opportunity for Salamanca to see it done, but Astral Frog stands at the gates, stands firm, stands tall, and pushes them away back to the void of yet another 2 rounds.
Are we about to see our first 50 bomb dropped? This is a kill record in itself, an official match, and a player drops nearly 50 kills. This is crazy. Astro Frog is doing
60 at this point,
guts.
man. I want 60. Look, I want like 60 kills, 50 on the guy's second, 30, 40, 20, like whatever. Look, there's absolutely no reason why not. Once in a blue moon, as a caster, you get the opportunity to pick up a game which just becomes something that you could never have foreseen coming into things. And
yeah,
I think this one, yeah, just even looking at the sort of level of play from both of these teams, you know, we're not looking at VCT level players, but they found a way to make it exhilarating of themselves, and it has continued to not disappoint us. And here we have it. Salamanca, they find the first kill, already traded out. Astral Frog getting 2.
it's the fact that they've got to, at the initial push, the fact that these first 2 players have gone really takes the momentum, the drive that potential attacking half has. They have to slow things down, look for picks, and where will they find it? Is it potentially the Dragon start peeking out? Yes, it is. And oh my god, it's completely opened up. The Sova goes huge, and now we're in a 2 versus 1. Make that 2 versus 0. Salamanca Warriors bite back.
You've got to feel for Astral Frog finding every single kill that CVU had on the round, but still unable to turn a result. When I say every single kill, I mean 3. Big defense of the site itself, playing around the pillar underneath the site, and no one else just chiming in with the same kind of value. Look at the distance between them and the second place player. The same cannot be said for Salamanca. 45-37, 48-27. Gaps and holes and patches, these little margins begin to extrude to something so much more as this game will drag on. Salamanca from the defensive half will need to try and do something that they've struggled to in recent rounds, but CVU, they're not giving up just yet.
No. And why should they? As considering the amount of times they've been able to fight back. Although,
Enemy
the Sage is able to peek out. Gets one, the spam coming
big
through for a
damage.
second time. Just misses out. The barrier orb and the slow orb used, and it's used in perfect position, although not too perfect. Dragon Star gets a trade, and Pika Charmer elsewhere gets one of their own. It's down to a 3 versus 3.
Pika has found the biggest kill of the round. It opens up being a chance to rotate. Nice idea to clear in the angle, but NC is able to find it back themselves. It's a 3 versus 2. Salamanca absent from A. Absent-minded of the idea that the plant could be coming in on B at this moment in time as Pika will creep on through. How much of a distraction will Salamanca be as the dart sticks to the chest of NC Gamer? A bullet will be there to greet it in follow-up as well. I would like to see Pika make a change this time, though. Don't stray away from the site. You've got your utility and a huge chance to keep your team in this one. It's going to be a dash from main to see if Jet can get there in enough time here for CVU. Dragon trying to stride forward, but it is still a 2 versus 2. Some time already bought, however.
That's it. But how big was that purchase? Is it going to be big enough to check out this round, check out for the next map? I don't know. As all the players come down, they're collapsing in, and now it's just a 1 versus 1, make it 1 versus 2, but the time is not enough, and we get another round of overtime.
Oh, man.
switching sides.
Look, I said a little bit before about how an Odin might be filling, I guess an LMG-sized hole in someone's heart post-Valentine's or whatever shape the case may be. But right now, I'm feeling the love myself. We've been given, a very generous helping of rounds here from the best of 1. And look, at this point, I don't know if we're getting the second best of 1 or not. I really don't. We'll have to confirm with production. But, I mean, numbers being thrown left, right, and center. I just want to know if we're going to reach the 20s, Cairo. That would be the icing on the cake. I don't know if we've been that distance before as a duo, but I'm willing to take our relationship to new bounds.
I'm sure we have. I'm sure we have at some point.
Maybe
We've
not
had
on
some
the
pretty...
cast, but,
I mean, mate, we've had some pretty long ones. I'll tell you that. There's one that sticks in my mind, but we won't talk about that. We'll talk about this push right now as they go straight in towards main, and there's already a flank coming through by the Sage. All 4 players lined up with 1 player out on towards Dish. Astro Frog completely takes the head off the brim.
Here he is again. Here they are again. You're walking into the most well-decorated player in the server right now in terms of impact, but Salamanca do not care. It doesn't matter what comes before you, it's what comes after, and that's going to be a whole heap of kills. Finally, the taps connect and the head taken off. 4 versus 1. Pika with everything to do, still sat posted up in Dish, leaving absolutely no question marks for Salamanca as to what their positioning might be as they look to spot the head of their own from the Sage player. A snake bite to soften, but they're able to dodge it for the time being. And it looks like Salamanca might just be getting their attacking round yet again.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe Pikachu's got something to say as they get the first. Maybe there's the second. Oh, they're going to peek with a snake bite. That's not to be advised. And neither is swinging out there as Sage collects the kill. And we move on towards our next round. Can Salamanca finally close this one out?
We'll just have to see. I mean, how many times have we been in this situation? You have
too many.
to give some serious credit, irrespective of the result, to CVU for the fact that they've been able to fight back through so many overtimes as we come into round number 36 of this game between the E-Hawks and the Warriors. I mean, it's almost like a franchised game of itself. I feel like there are Super Bowl levels of quality and drama unfolding in front of our very eyes. And look at the setup for both of these teams in this round. E-Hawks so slow from the B side of the map, or should I say, from the defender side of the map, bridge control has been completely forgotten this time around.
No, the first engagement happens below, but it's CVU. Ehawk's able to win that one out. The first one won. Well, there's a ping upstairs, although it's continuing to go forward. It's the CVU once again, continuing to make this work. 4 versus 2. At least there'll be some heroics for Salamanca.
That there does. The Salamanca clan need to find something nigh illegal here to retrieve the round. Some stolen goods, because right now the round looks to belong to CVU. Already, look, you're seeing the difference that the change in the boombot makes. Barely a moment in the sight before it evaporates. And now they have that control, which needs to be worked with here, CVU. Nice ping in from the recon, but nothing to claim back. A haunt to mark some players of their own, and with this positioning gained, post almost 3 players up on the same angle to deny them from crossing back through. And Mark also offering the opportunity for them to claim, and that's a very crisp shot from Astral Frog, met with another 1 or 2 from Sova. That's it though. 50 kills found for both of them. And we have reached a century when you combine the two.
A century between the two, but is it going to be... I was about to say a century of rounds. I mean, it feels like it has a 18-18. 6 rounds between them, and we're guaranteed at least 2 more. The 20s are fast approaching. I mean, if one of these teams went out, they will be on 20. That's something to say, but I mean, both teams to be on 20 would be on, again, another unprecedented thing to happen in this match for 2 teams.
That it would be. I mean, as soon as the scoreline looks to something like a date from recent history, then it really pulls you to the edge of your seat. You can start listing off events which occurred in 1818 from this point, I think. As a history student, I probably should know, but I spent more time casting than I did paying attention in class, so that's the reason why I'm sat here with you all right now. Either way, first kill is found if we are paying attention. CVU have dropped, and Salamanca look to continue that trend of dominance from their attacking half, as tower control looks to be taken, but outright denied. Pika Charmer able to swoon the Sage and find a way to keep it in the hands of their very own team before the spike gets planted.
Oh, Pika Charmer gets one. Oh, it's all turning the... getting cut apart. Salamanca this time not being able to make it work. It's all up to the Jet as they keep themselves crouched. Unfortunately, they get taken out by Astral Frog, and CVU move on towards their attack. Can they close this one out?
Here we have it again. CVU though, this time around, things feel a little bit different. They go into their attacking half with an advantage. 2018 would be the scoreline, 2 years before Valorant was released. 1918 instead is the date. When was that? Was that when World War I ended? Something like that?
I don't know, mate.
Something along those lines. I think so,
Yeah.
right? There's a film named after, isn't there?
No, that's World War One. It's World War One.
Oh, that's what I meant. World War I, right?
Yeah.
Can't believe I've got a degree.
You don't deserve it, mate. You don't deserve it. I'd take it right off you.
Here we go. Nice little early brawl in towards main. Shot straighted back and forth. But the most important factor is that Astral Frog remains standing. A star player for them. And even at a deficit in terms of numbers, there's still a chance it goes in their favor. But, I mean, Salamanca are doing their damn best to make sure that isn't the case. Ray's running out into the open. That's a freebie. And you know that this is exactly how the attacking round was able to twist to their favor last time around. Salamanca threw away an advantage by over-pushing, over-aggressing the B main position. With that knowledge in mind, CVU could look to hit towards B, but they might just be slowing it down to freeze and bait out the idea that they have already headed elsewhere for this late A hit. Where do they go? 2 paths to head down.
30 seconds
One
left.
could result in a round win and an unprecedented 2018 victory. The other is the opportunity to send it once more and go again.
Here we go. Once again into the deep. Oh my goodness gracious me! The Sova just misses out. 10 seconds are left. The spike needs to go down now. It does so. That haunt might be good enough, although it just pings out the saves. They're able to win it. The Fade ultimate comes through, but it gets no pings. Do they look elsewhere? Do they look towards Dish? The Prowler just going to check out main, but these footsteps will give away the position of the Jet. Can he swing through? Oh, they'll get the kill on towards Astral Frog. There's a snake bite just to deny. Double damage might be ensuing on towards this Jet, but the crosshair's not right. CVU, they'll finish it out, and they'll finish it out and say good night.
Good night indeed. They shut things down. I cannot believe it. After the amount of rounds that we saw, 38 rounds in the end played between those two teams, and CVU come out victors, downtrodden, time and time again. There's no chance. It really felt like that they should be running away with it. The amount of opportunities that Salamanca had to see it through, even on the final round, a 4 versus 2 situation, but Astral Frog allowed to be left up standing. And alongside Pika, that player who's so tricksy at finding an opening here and there, an overstep punished, they're able to get it done, and we see the game through.
We certainly do see the game through, and has there any points you wanted to make before we go and we send towards a break, because we need to get this turned over quickly for the next match?
Yeah, I think that is the main point that I was going to raise. We do have a second match for you all.
Yeah.
That one didn't run over too long. You know, there is another best of one to look forward to, so don't go anywhere, of course. We will be throwing over to a short break because, yeah, I don't really have anything else left to say. We left everything out in the server, as did the players, and CVU deserved victors with that one. So we're going to take 5. When we come back, we will see you all for that second game.